But in the meantime, it has emerged that poor eyesight of some Ghanaian drivers is contributing to more road traffic accidents being recorded in Ghana. Now, in the first quarter of this year alone, the country recorded some 3,494 accidents, through which some 595 lives were lost, and almost 3,800 getting injured in the process. Seriously. Now, in our continuous search for solutions to reverse this trend, head of the Department of Optometry at the University of Cape Coast, Dr. Boadu-Kusi, wants government to take a decision on drivers with poor sight but still carrying lives on the road. We'll bring you the story.
I was saying earlier that we seem not to have placed much premium on the aspect of eye health and how that contributes to road safety, road traffic accident. Is it an area, an issue when it comes to accident?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think it is really an issue because if you look at the regulations, we have visual standards for driving, and the DVLA Act speaks clearly to it. Unfortunately, as you have said, in all the reportage, we seem to have ignored that angle. Mainly because people feel that really the rates, the contribution from eye may not be an issue. But it is an issue because studies that we have done here at the University of Cape Coast clearly points to some drivers actually reporting that it was as a result of the accidents, were as a result of their vision. One, it could have been related to poor judgment of distance or dazzling from lights, and there has been some reports in some of the studies that we have done. So for us, even if it is one person dying as a result of visual failure, it is an issue for us to begin to look at.
And in earlier conversation, you were talking about the reason we have standards, because it's an issue, that's why we have standards.
Yeah.
Let's go through the standards we have for that in Ghana.
All right, so in Ghana, you are looking at visual acuity for anybody, whether you are like a learner or you are a driver or you want to go for renewal. The law says that your binocular vision, which has to do with how your two eyes see, the visual acuity, which talks about how well objects can be seen in terms of size. Your visual acuity, if you went to an eye clinic and you were reading this chart, we expect that you should be able to read up to this level.
That is the 12.
Up to the 12.
12, okay.
So your two eyes should be able to see a minimum of 612.
Okay.
This, if you are reading this at a distance of 6 meters,
okay,
you should be able to read up to this level or better. Right? That is what the law says for the two eyes. So that is one of the regulations. The second regulation talks about your visual field. That is, if you are looking straight ahead, horizontally, to what extent can you see from things that are coming from afar? So it talks about 120-degree horizontal, that there should be no defect in your sight, in your field of view. So that is the second one. Then the third one talks about what we call the tunnel vision. That there are some people who suffer this defect called tunnel vision. Just being in terms of the layman's explanation, we say that you will not be able to see anything coming from your side until that object is within your line of vision. Your visual axis within your line of vision. So anything that is around you, technically you don't perceive it, you don't see it until the thing is within your sight, your line of sight. So that is what we call tunnel vision. So the law says that if you suffer from such a tunnel vision, it is automatic, no, you cannot drive, because driving, you will make use of peripheral vision. So these are the three key things, and the law stipulates that you should have an eye test that is certified by an optometrist or an ophthalmologist. These are the two.
Does it mean the eye test must be done at the hospital?
Logistically, it becomes difficult for you to say that every test should be done at the hospital. But if you look at the implication of the law, then it means that if we are going to have on-site testing, which is currently what is happening, DVLA has acquired some vision testers, and that is what they are using. We have done an analysis of the vision tester. It can do most of the things that is required to be done. It can do visual acuity, color vision, contrast sensitivity, and a host of stereopsis and a host of other tests that even not prescribed in law, but are important. And I think as we go through, I'll mention them, some of the things that we really need to do, which are not being done. I think the difficulty now that we have is the people who are operating this machine, because they seem not to understand a lot of the tests that needs to be done. So currently, it is only the first part of the law, which is the visual acuity, that is being implemented. So you go in there, you read, and you pass based on just the vision, which just measures how well you can see targets based on their size. That is all. Any other parameter is not being assessed. The little bit about it is that if indeed somebody can tell whether you have a defect at the back of your eye, just by doing visual acuity, it cannot be assessed.
Really?
So then that becomes a problem, because then somebody will need to pick an ophthalmoscope, a machine to go through your eye and see the back of the eye and see if there is any defect.
But what the examination we go through at the DVLA, is that not what they look for?
Basically, no. Because nobody does internal eye examination at DVLA. Nobody does that. And it precisely maybe due to logistical constraints and all that. But nobody does internal eye examination. Nobody does visual field assessment at DVLA. But the law says that you must, as a matter of necessity, do visual field assessment. And visual field assessment can be done simply by trained professionals, even with fingers. With fingers, I can sit and just check and see whether if I'm bringing a target from the side, you can really see, or even with a pen. But this is not being done. So that is a problem that we have at the DVLA.
And but we have hundreds of people going for driving license almost every day or weekly in this country. And if we are not getting this test done accurately as it must be, then I think we are doomed, though.
Yes, I think that we have the laws, but some way, somehow, we have managed to go around it. And I think that we need to go back to the conversation and look at how best we can really implement the laws that we have. Recently, we had a partnership with South Africa where we were trying to review their driving laws, their testing that are done and all that, which we came out with one position paper on it. So I think that it is important, especially even if you are talking of tunnel vision. If you have not been assessed, your visual field has not been assessed, nobody can look at and say that you have tunnel vision. I cannot just look at your face and say that you have tunnel vision. No. And especially in our part of the world, Ghana, where glaucoma, we are one of the leading countries with glaucoma, high prevalence of glaucoma. So we are picking young people at the age of 20, 18 and above with glaucoma. And glaucoma is one of the culprits when it comes to tunnel vision. So once you have glaucoma, you are likely, the end result is it starts from the periphery. So your periphery begins to fade away. You are not seeing periphery until your vision is just what is remaining is just at the center. Now for this person, if you are going to rely on only visual acuity, because the person can see at the center, the moment you put his forehead into the vision tester, he can read, and so you will pass the person. But you notice that if you went further to do other assessment, the person will fail. And the law says that such a person must not be given the license. But unfortunately, we are not doing that. And indeed, in some of the studies that we have done, we have found people who are monocularly blind, blind in one eye, but they are driving, you know. And these are published data already. They are there. Monocularly blind, even though the law, again, that's the defect of the law. The law doesn't say that we should test one eye. The law says that both eyes should be able to read at 612. So that is a defect of the law. But it has implications, because once you are driving with one eye, your visual field reduces. Because when you have the combined effect of the two eyes, it extends your field of view. When you have just one eye, your field reduces. So in terms of being able to judge distance, what you call depth perception, your ability to judge distance also gets impaired. So if you want to overtake, the most likely thing, instead of you looking ahead and just using your peripheral vision to look through the driving mirror, the side mirror, to see whether a car is following you or not, you really cannot. You have to actually turn to look at the side mirror, and at the same time make a conscious effort to look at the car ahead of you, and before you can move.
So there's going to be like about 30-second blindness.
That is it. So then you have a problem when you have to drive with one eye. So these are the defects of the law that we have, and we need to find a way around it to begin to deal with it.
So as we embarking on this campaign, Arrive Alive, and all the issues that we must think of and get solutions to. The issue of the iron driving, how much premium must we place on that, and what would be your suggestions?
I think that we need to take that as one of our prime objective and place the highest premium that we want. Because you see, as I said earlier, if it is even just one death as a result of vision, then we have a problem.
And here's the case, you've done studies that suggested that drivers who were...
And that's head of optometry at the University of Cape Coast in an interaction with my colleague Seth Kwame Boateng on our Arrive Alive campaign. Please keep safe, stay alive, and remember we've had issues before COVID still staring us in the face. One of them, road accident. So please check your eyes and stay alive.